seriously, if somebody's holding you down, forcing you to watch and be at this channel, call the police. Hey, you guys ready for a whole new get ready with me rant? Because I'm ready to vent. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I really do love what I get to do. I do vlogging full time, even though I don't post to every channel full time. But I have been in a really severe burnout lately for like the last year and a half. It's just, I don't know, once I started the makeup channel, it started feeling like I am on screen way too much in a day. I'm like giving up too much of my personal life. It's just exhausting, because even when you're trying to be authentic or smart or just opening something up to demonstrate it, you still have to kind of be on, you know, you have to have that personality up and ready to roll and just ready to knock it out of the park. High energy tits up kind of thing. And just in general, I am a really, really, really low energy kind of person. Whew, look at my fantabulous arms. That's why they are almost always covered when you see me on the Fangirl channel. I hate my arms. They've been like that since I was like 8-ish. But yeah, I actually got so burnt out with filming and editing and all that that you are about to see released on this channel stuff that I made in February 2019. Like, recorded it and just left it on the memory card because I could not just mentally deal. And you know, I am trying to get back in the groove of things and kind of get everything back in order and back on track for where I would like it to be, because I do put easily 40, 60 plus hours a week into all the different videos I try to make. But it is just me. Like, right now I have no assistant, I have no editor, I have like no co-writers, I have nothing. It's just me doing everything from pre-production, production, post-production, and then monitoring the comments and everything else, all the different social media profiles. Like, it's just me at this point in time. And you know, the real frustrating thing, especially with the Fangirl channel where I talk about movies and TV shows and stuff, there are so many videos that are just on the milquetoast side. Like, they're not necessarily bad videos, but they're not necessarily riveting, interesting videos. And I'm sorry, I'm not really looking into the camera because I'm watching myself put on makeup in the viewfinder. But you know, ever so often I am gonna have opinions about stuff. I am gonna have my own beliefs that spill through for one reason or another. And it really frustrates me and makes me crazy, this whole culture that we have now in social media where we're gonna be intolerant of intolerant people, and what intolerant is changes by the minute. Or this whole like I'm triggered culture is utterly exhausting, because you know what? Everybody has issues, everybody has traumas, everybody has stuff that they're dealing with, so something is gonna trigger everybody. And the whole idea of that, well, we can disagree and maybe we can discuss it, or we can disagree and find a middle ground or anything like that, it is long since dead. It's gotta be my way, you're wrong, I'm right kind of thing. And you know, that gets so frustrating when it's like, oh, how dare you put so-and-so's makeup on, how dare you say this, how dare you say that. Like, dude, first of all, I'm talking about cartoon characters, so if Mulan not being a princess, which she's not, triggers you so badly, maybe you need to get off the internet. Like, okay, everybody's got their sensitivities, everybody's got their, you know, sore spots that are easy to poke at, that's understandable, but it's kind of on you to handle it, because, I mean, I don't know, I always go back to that quote from, I think it was Ricky Gervais, that was like, people like to tell me that they're offended, and I'm like, okay, so what? That doesn't get you anything, that doesn't mean you're owed anything, that just means you're offended. And I will give credit, there are people who are perfectly lovely, and they're like, hey, wait, I really don't like what you had to say, and you know, here's my side of it, here's my piece on it. Like, I never mind having discussions with people. But then you have people where if you don't spew out exactly what they want to hear in the exact like little box that they want to hear it in, I mean, oh my gosh, I had somebody a couple weeks ago that was like, oh, you're such trash, you're garbage, you're a POS, I hate you, I hope you die, and like, really, like, nasty stuff. And I was just like, what part of that is supposed to convince me to be on your side of the argument? Do you think that you're gonna berate me or try to shame me or try to be like nasty to me, and that's somehow gonna get us to see eye to eye and we'll be friends again or something? Because no, I don't put up with trolls like that. I'm just gonna block you and move on with my life and not really think about you that much ever again. But it's like people demand so much validation over the internet, and it's just utterly ridiculous. I'm trying to look into a mirror that doesn't exist here now. You can see that I've used my powder. Maybe you can see it's so sparkly. I'm almost all out of powder, so any PR brands watching, if you would like to send me stuff, I would love to not have to pay for a few things of makeup. Just FYI, while I'm standing here ranting, anybody who sees a cosmetics company, like, hey, who should we sponsor? The Fangirl! But there's been so many times where I've talked about something that I would not have even expected it to be a triggering word or a triggering topic, and then all of a sudden it goes from, hey, you know, I'm trying to put this out here and let's have a discussion, and you know, let's talk about it, let's maybe see things from a different side of things, let's read this movie against the grain of the traditional reading, and people are like, how dare you? And that's the same reason I don't like politics, because I'm not really right or left. I'm in the center for a lot of different topics, and I mean, I consider myself part of the independent party. I really am not a fan of any people in politics, but oh my gosh, I remember being a kid in the 90s. Bill Clinton was running, and he was like amazingly charismatic, and so was Ross Perot. I was really like pro Ross Perot as a kid. He seemed like such a neat guy. I know nothing about him other than I liked how he acted when I was a kid. The I'm Ross and you're the boss. It'd be kind of like having that guy in Will and Grace who ended up falling off the balcony and dying, leaving all his money to Jack. I can't remember his character name, but he's like this little old guy. He's adorable. He's so sweet, and I love him to bits and pieces. But yeah, it'd just be like kind of like having him as president would have been Ross Perot. But Bill Clinton was such a charismatic powerhouse, and now I don't know, it's like they keep nominating the worst people you can imagine. See what I get for even touching on politics a tiny bit? I've gotten smeared mascara. That's why in polite company, sex, religion, and politics do not belong in the conversation. But yeah, I mean, I had the impression a while ago that YouTube was thinking about cutting their comments from all of YouTube because the child-friendly vloggers weren't going to be able to have them anymore. And I really wish that they would do that and make it kind of more podcast-esque, because it's not even that I don't like interacting with people, it's that it gets so exhausting having this like mounting pressure that you must interact with people and you must interact with as many as you can. And you know, even when people are crappy, well, for analytics reasons, maybe you should leave the comment up even if it's some weird personal attack. And I think I just said this, but you know, I can debate people all day long. I don't mind to have a debate. I don't mind to have a conversation. But the thing is, it's like if you hear something and you absolutely hate it to your core, you think I'm dead wrong, then like, you know, talk to me and I'll talk to you back. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to change my mind, because I'm not really an impressionable 20-something anymore. But you know, I'll talk to you, I'll acknowledge the merits in what you have to say. It's not like, oh man, I'm 100% right about everything, so forget everybody else. I really don't feel like I'm like that. I don't have that, I mean, I don't feel like that. I mean, even when I talk to my family, and there are some people in my family that are really like, no, we're gonna have this fight and I'm gonna be right. I mean, after so many back and forths, I'm just like, okay, and just sort of drop out of the conversation, because there's never going to be that, we're always going to be like this far apart. There's never going to be a middle ground for us. It's always going to be, I'm here, you're there, and you want me to not meet you in the middle, but for you to drag me over all the way to your side. And that's probably not likely, but that's what people on social media are today, and that's what they want, and that's what they demand. And it's like, this is so unreasonable. Oh, I'm going to be really happy when I finally run out of this, because I'm just going to throw the rest of this away. I do not really care for the NYX brand. I don't even know still, are you supposed to call that like NYX or is it just NYX? We don't know and we don't care. Give myself some cheekbone depth. Like, I've got the high cheekbones, but I'm also on the fat side, so you can't really see them. And that's where this like brown powdery stuff comes in handy. I don't even know what it's called. I know it's part of a contouring palette, but that's the end of it. I'm also gonna do under my chin here for the same kind of reason, is because you can't really see my jawbone line because I'm not a little girl. But yeah, anybody watching this, I know this is more of a channel for an older audience, so I hope there's no kids watching. But it's just so weird how censoring everything is getting, and how little and little we're allowed to say more and more. Because controlling people verbally is not really the same thing as like, yay, we figured out the problems, we solved tolerance. I mean, every single situation in the world is gonna be super different, but it's just, I don't know, it's kind of nutty to be like, no, everything has to be one size fits all, everybody has to agree, everybody has to get along. Dude, all of humanity, nobody's ever gotten along. Humanity only gets along when we have people to rally against. So if we all have one common enemy to hate, then that's when we all seem to get along the best. That's not just now, that's like all of human history. Now, is that me saying that people should be hated, or that it's fair, or that it's this or that? No, but it's saying that you're not gonna change people by, you know, being a jerk. Like, oh, well, I don't like what you had to say, so let me spend like 5 minutes ripping you apart. Oh my gosh, season 3 of Agretsuko came out today on Netflix, right? And there was this part where this guy is like, got Retsu's hands and he's looking her right in the eye saying these horrible things to her for like 5-6 minutes straight. And I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly what it's like to be on YouTube, because, you know, you're gonna meet maybe 1,000 people who are really positive and have good things to say, and then you're gonna have that a-hole that decides to step in and try to ruin your day because somehow you offended their perfect picture of this perfect nonsense. Nothing's perfect, everything's messy, and the best thing you can try to do is learn to get along with people and hear both sides. And, you know, even if you're not swayed, you can still have a conversation that may sway other people. But this whole notion that we have to be one big unity, it doesn't make any sense. That's why there are opinions. Everybody has them. And I have never asked people to agree with me. Of course, I have the goal of being somewhat persuasive and say, like, you know, here's my case. I hope you found it interesting or whatever. But I've never been like, oh, you don't think exactly like I do, so you're utter trash, like so many commenters do. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're gonna unsubscribe because you don't like 1 or 2 things I posted. Fine, go, get out of here. Like, seriously, if somebody's holding you down, forcing you to watch and be at this channel, call the police. It is not my prerogative to be perfect in every which way. I have my own opinions, I have my own faults. I never aim to be flawless. Even doing this, you think if I had a brain in my head I would do unscripted rantings at the camera? No, YouTube says, hey, if you're not family friendly, we're gonna demonetize you back in 2018. And then in 2019 they go, hey, thanks for being family friendly. Now you're gonna have your channel punished and hidden because we think it appeals to kids too much. And is it ever my goal to offend people or upset people or, you know, make anybody have a bad day? No, it's not. It's really, my goal is having, like, interesting discussions about different things. Sometimes those things are very serious, sometimes they're very just boring and not very interesting. And I really don't have an issue, you know, I don't have an issue being like that. It doesn't offend me, it doesn't bother me if people don't like everything I put out. But it just, I don't know, it gets so aggravating when you're like, okay, I worked really hard on something, I'm really trying to express my opinion here, and quite unexpectedly to you, oh, guess what, you've started a whole controversial hoopla. I mean, even talking about Harry Potter turned into controversy after controversy, because first it was, how dare you talk about Harry Potter because everybody hates J.K. Rowling right now. Oh, okay, like I knew a little bit about it, but you know, I'm not really, I don't follow her, I'm not in her life. And the complaints that were popping up were not new complaints. So, alright, I guess you can be big boys and girls and just not watch a video if it's from somebody that you don't want to support. No, we want to tell you that we're angry. We want to bully you into stopping because can't tolerate intolerance kind of stuff. I'm like, well, I don't see how that solves any issue. It just kind of makes the people who do stay end up manipulated by people that you would not want the fandom manipulated by. So I don't know, I don't follow that logic really. Or all these people who have like no ability to separate a fantasy world from their own personal feelings or reality of, well, how dare you say this? I had this happen to me. It's like, okay, but you're not a cartoon character, are you? Like, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry that you had, shoot, anything bad happen to you at any point in your life. But again, it's not really the point of what I'm talking about. Like, your personal background is not the point of what I'm covering here. And again, there are people who are like really sweet and they're just kind of like, hey, I just wanted to let you know this is why I didn't like this, or this is why I don't think that this is okay, and that's fine. You are perfectly welcome to feel however you feel. There is no wrong answer. But then you have the people that are like, oh, guess what? You don't think the way I think, so now I'm gonna try and like harass you and bully you and cyber stalk you and ram all over every social media page you have. And it's just like, I mean, seriously, you don't have anything better to do? Like, okay, get it, got it, you don't like it, okay, you can move on and watch somebody else. No, I promise you can watch. No, I'm really leaving, okay. Like, don't really know what you want from me, dude, or why you think your angry, triggered rage is gonna get you there. Because you know what, you act like that at work with your coworkers, you know what happens? You end up fired. So yeah, if you're gonna come at me with personal attacks, you're gonna end up blocked. Or, you know, it's like really funny, the people who you end up blocking, so they're like, well, I'm gonna go to her Instagram, or I'm gonna go to her Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and she's gonna hear what I have to say. And it's like, I'm just gonna block you over there too. Like, what do you think this is gonna accomplish? Like, okay, get it off your chest, I guess, if that makes you feel happy. But it's like, some of these people just like flat out lie and twist and manipulate what you're saying. Like, oh, well, you're being ableist. I'm like, I'm being ableist? I have like dyslexia, severe anxiety, I've got touches of OCD where I'm doing stuff like this all day. Or then there's the other one, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Like, and I've got to do these patterns all day. I do them with my feet like non-stop wherever I'm at. I'm gonna move to the mirror to do my eyeliner. But yeah, I've got this whole like laundry list of my own issues. I've had respiratory problems since 2016. So, you know, I'm walking around with the Rona out there just non-stop. And then I have kids with autism and people are like, oh, you're being ableist. Just like, no, you see, the abuse I went through that gave me like anxiety and PTSD kind of stuff, you see, that has become part of my view of the world and how I deal with things based on how I coped with it, because largely I did cope with it and I learned how to move on, and I understand that that's not for everybody and everybody experiences things differently. But that's where comments sort of make me mad, where they're like, well, you just don't know because you didn't live through this kind of a thing. It's like, yes, I did, so why are you making assumptions? Like, if I don't talk about my kids having autism in a video about autism, people are like, oh, how could you say that? You don't even know what you're talking about. Like, excuse me, do you know how many doctors I talk to in any given month? And no, that's not saying that I'm even an expert in anything, but it's like, people just make so many assumptions about you if you don't throw everything in their face at once, and it's so ridiculous. Like, that makes me crazy. Like, people who have experienced traumas especially, they like to act like their way of dealing with it is the only way, or they're the only people in the world who could have ever been traumatized, and it's like, honey, listen, everybody has been through something awful. I have yet to, in my 30-something years, shouldn't talk and spray. I've yet to, in my 30-something years of existence, met somebody who didn't carry around some kind of trauma baggage. People deal with all of it differently, and it's all valid. So, you know, this whole idea of you can't feel this way, you can't say this triggers me. Okay, well, that triggers you. All right, that's fine. You are allowed to feel however it is you feel. No wrong answers, but that doesn't mean that you get to invalidate how other people do things just because you feel one way, if that makes any sense. But as I've also learned time and time again, anytime I post out anything that's even unintentionally controversial, like I pronounce something wrong, I really find that there's no way to win, because even if you make a second video and you make the corrections that the first group yelled at you about, then a second group comes in and says that you did it wrong all over again. So, you know, when you have an agenda and you don't have a way for anybody to be successful in navigating those waters, of course it's gonna, you know, make people mad and fail miserably and just get everybody irritated with your whatever. You know, if you want to make allies, the only way to do that is to sit down face to face and have a discussion like equals, not like I'm superior and you're trash. Acting like that has never gotten anybody to any kind of middle ground or converted the other party to your views. And maybe, you know, you don't care about that, that's fine too, but also maybe shut up sometimes then. But my makeup's done, so I'm gonna stop this loop-de-loop-de-loop rant, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. How do I shut you off? You won't turn off. Okay, there's a button. I know there's a button.